Hey, it's Corrine. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I am making a handmade journal. I'm using the Aspen collection from Felicity Jane. This is a super pretty collection. I'm using a few pieces from the 12 by 12, and I do end up using a piece from the 6 by 6 paper collection as well. I have the fringe, the cardstock fringe, which I use 2 pieces of that, and the library cards. Those are super cute. I do use just a sticker from a label sticker from that collection and a couple of the puffy chipboard pieces. And my focal point will be this card that that Felicity Jane sends with every collection. I thought that looked super cute on the front. So I'm going to start with a piece of medium to heavyweight chipboard. It's 9 by 7. And I need 2 pieces, one for the front cover, one for the back cover. And here's the pattern paper I'm going to use for the front cover. So that is 11 by 9 because I wanted that to have 1-inch border all the way around. I'm going to use some Beacon Fabri-Tac and cover the entire back side of the chipboard. I like to use quite a bit of glue just to make sure it's adhered down very well. And I'm just going to center that as best I can. Once I'm happy with that, I'll use my brayer to really press that down, make sure that the glue is adhering to the paper, to the chipboard very well. So now I'm going to go around the entire outside of the pattern paper and the chipboard as well with my 1/4 inch double-sided tape. I'll press that down well with my bone folder. And then I'm going to miter the corners. So this is the same way you would do like a mini album as well, mini album cover. To miter the corners, I am using that corner piece. It's by Colorways. I'm not sure if they still sell that. And just a cheap little blade from the Dollar Tree, but it does work pretty well. You don't have to use this corner piece, but if you want to eyeball it or maybe use a ruler, you just want to leave about a 1/8 inch gap. That way you don't have exposed chipboard when you're wrapping your cover. So I like to go around it with my bone folder as well, just to really crease that paper there so it folds easily. I'm going to go ahead and remove all the tape backing, and I do, because there is 1 inch there, I do add a little bit of tape right into the center of the paper. Again, I don't want any bubbling or anything like that, so I just add a line of glue there. And I like to wrap the long sides first, then trim the corners slightly just to make sure I have no bulk in the corners. So you can kind of see it overhang. I just take a little bit of that off, just the tiniest bit, and you're left with a little piece that if you don't fold in, it's either going to bulk up your corner or come out the side. So you just tuck that in. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and fold those sides in and it'll give you a perfectly wrapped cover. Again, press that down with my brayer. I've used that brayer for like 20 years. I've never used it for paint or anything like that, or inks or anything, so I feel comfortable using it on papers and not getting it dirty. So here's the inside pattern piece, 8 3/4 by 7, I believe, just leaving it a nice little border. So I'm going to remove the tape backing from that as well, add some glue to the center, and that finishes my front cover piece. Off camera, I've already covered my back piece just to save a little time. I also covered another smaller piece that's going to go on the front of this album, which I'll show you in just a moment. And the reason I did that is I like the wrapped look of it. So here's the back of my journal, and the inside pages are just pages that I printed myself. I added some graph paper in there as well. I have a Eco Tank printer, so it's very, very cheap on ink, so I just printed a ton of them and I can make my own journals that way. As you can see, I'm using the cinch to punch the holes in it. I do end up using some spiral binding, some spiral wire by the Cinch brand as well, and I believe it's either 1 inch or 1 1/4. I believe 1 1/4. So I just set the rest of that aside. Here's that wrap piece that I was talking about, just a little bit of a focal piece on the front. Like I said, I like the finished look of it, and I love that journaling card, that library card from the little collection. It matches that front pattern paper. It's 3x4, and here's the pattern paper from the 6x6 collection. I believe I cut that to 3.5 by 4.5. I was thinking I was going to kind of mat it behind that, but I end up matting it behind that little journal card there. This is a piece of silver glitter paper. I wanted to add that to the front, incorporate that on the front. So I'm just eyeballing that, cutting it down to what I think looks good. And I wasn't liking the look of that pattern paper, so I thought I wasn't going to use it, but I do end up using it. And I'm also going to use these 2 pieces of the cardstock fringe. I wanted that pattern paper to kind of tie in with the cardstock fringe. It's such a pretty color. So after I tuck it behind that card, I liked, because that card was just blending into the silver glitter paper too much. So once I tucked it behind there, it made it stand out. I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, adhere those together. And I'm going to adhere those down to the front as well, to the glitter paper, and then the glitter paper down. I'm just measuring that fringe, cutting off a little because I didn't want it sticking out past the glitter paper. And then behind this piece, I'll go ahead and tuck that bluish color fringe, which I'll fluff that fringe up after I'm done decorating the cover. I pulled out a bunch of Wild Orchid Craft flowers. I wasn't sure which ones I wanted to use. I just pulled colors that I thought would go well with this color scheme. And I was going to start putting it together, but I realized I wanted to bind the album first. That way I wasn't gluing where I needed the binding to go. So I'm really pressing that down, making sure it's adhered well. I'll add that front piece on as well. To adhere the flowers, I am going to use some hot glue. It does leave a little bit of hot glue strings, but those are super easy to get rid of. Just use your heat gun and go over it and they just kind of disappear. Here's where I started to lay out some flowers and I realized I didn't want the binding to possibly get in the way, so I might as well just go ahead and bind the album first before adhering any flowers down. And it's super easy to do. You just feed it right through the holes that you've created with the singe. So I will just simply play around with different flowers, see what looks good to me. I wanted this to be very girly. This album, or this journal, is for a lady. Her name is Jenny Apple. You may have seen my Disney mini album video I did that I made for her. This I wanted to make for her as well. That way she had a little journal or some place to take notes or write down. She was mentioning that she's writing letters to her kids. So I just wanted to give her something that was girly and feminine. And I really thought that this would fit her well. So that's where I came up with the color scheme, the flowers. I do go through and add some pearl flowers and some clear dewdrop through it as well. And this was a lot of fun to make because I wanted to make something special for her. I do add a few of those puffy stickers too. Jenny is fighting cancer. She has been fighting cancer for the last couple of years, and she is just such a strong woman who just loves her children, loves her family so much. So I just wanted to do something special for her and show her that she is prayed for and loved and cared for. So this is why I made the journal. And if you haven't caught my other video, I also made her family a Disney album. They love Disney, so I created a Disney mini album hoping that it can hold a few of their special moments. So I will continue with adding these and just playing around, seeing what looks good. I hope you stick around for the process. I'll let you enjoy the rest of the process. Please leave me a comment. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section below. And thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy.